everybody, what's up? It's Tipping the Scales. I'm your girl, LaShayla Dawson.
I'm Tania, also known as T. What's up, tippers?
Hello again.
Hi. Hello again.
Oh, here she goes. We're singing.
Yeah, you don't know that song?
No.
You know, it's an old song.
You see the blank on my face? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll sing you the lyrics for the next time around.
All right. Well, we got some exciting stuff today, huh? See what we got.
We do. We got a special guest tippers, Oz Rashid. Say hi to Oz. What's up, Oz?
What's up, Tania? What's up, Shay? How y'all doing?
Hey,
How you
great.
doing?
Oh, you have the perfect voice for this. This is
He does.
Well, I have my own podcast. I appreciate that. I didn't love it as a kid growing up, but it's paid off for me now.
paying off now.
He definitely has a radio voice for sure.
Radio face too, I've been told. So
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. No. No, you have a good looking face. No, because you know what? I learned this the hard way from my I was saying a joke live during our town hall at work. And our senior vice president, I forgot his title, but he does like comms and I love him. His name's Max. He's great. And he was saying, "Oh, I heard I got the face for radio too." And I didn't realize he was like,
I didn't realize that's a thing.
Saying something like, "It's not a good thing." No. So afterwards, I was like, "Oh, I didn't catch it," because I was like a little. Sometimes I get nervous for like company-wide town halls. I'm like repeating in my head the things I need to say, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, Max was saying something not so great about himself, and he's freaking amazing. I love him." So I got you now. So thank you, Max, for preparing me for Oz. So now I know that's not a good thing. You have a very good looking face. So no. Won't get me twice now. No, you won't.
love it.
So let me just read to our tippers a little bit about your bio. So tippers, forgive me because I never hardly read anything on here, but he has such a fantastic bio. So I just want to just take a few moments to introduce you to Oz. So Oz is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of MSH, a global talent solutions technology consultancy and SaaS provider empowering people and enterprises to thrive. He is manifesting a hiring revolution by combining leading edge tech and data science to provide organizations with the high quality vetted candidates they need to succeed. And trust me, I know when I'm looking for high quality candidates, they are hard to find. And most organizations are looking for A players. So all that means is that Oz and his company can find you A players, right, Oz?
Yeah, I mean, what does that bio even mean? Let me put it in a different way, right?
Okay, thank you. Break it down.
Break it down. My mission, why I'm here, why I've been put on this earth is that I want to disrupt and transform all things hiring.
Oh, I love that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll expound. So, I mean, I think, I look at it and I think that hiring is something that's really complex and very nuanced and very difficult. And when I talk to most hiring managers or leaders, everybody I talk to thinks they're really great at it. The data does not always bear that out.
No.
And listen, when we make decisions as individuals and as companies, right, I find that we're below average when it comes to picking great long-term fits. And I understand why, because there's not a lot of guidance or a lot of tools out there. So really what our company is trying to do, we have MSH, which has been around for about 12, 13 years in the services space, like you brought up, kind of being consultative around all things hiring. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world and high growth startups. So when we work with our clients, it's not just about helping them get great people, but also advising them on what we've seen on the optimal way to hire is. And we're also building software called Aon that we think is going to really revolutionize all things hiring. And really what we want to do is we want to create more certainty and we want to create a better experience. And I think the certainty aspect is really important because if you look at it from an individual perspective, we've all gone through interview processes and taken a job and it seemed all great. And then we got there and 2 weeks in, we're like, oh shit, what did we sign up for? Right?
Yep.
Hate it. And you got tricked, you got duped, whatever it may be, right? And then you always hear them say, well, I can't leave for a year because I don't want it to look bad on my resume. So that's no way to be. And then on the other side, as a hiring manager, a lot of your ability to get promoted and your quality of life is tied to the people that you bring into your team. And we've all had bad team members on our team. So we're really trying to help with that. And we think that that's something that's really important. And that's kind of what our company's mission is and what all the people we work here do and what they think about.
Man, not all heroes wear capes. I love it.
Most heroes don't wear capes.
Most don't.
Right? That's so dope. And so how do you guys know each other? I know you guys communicate fairly often. As someone, T is in the people talent space, and you're also a curator of that space. Like, how do you guys know each other?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of commonalities in terms of people, culture, the NBA, things like that. I think we got introduced through the podcast. And I tell everybody when I ask for a podcast, like there's like, give me one podcast that's gonna kind of exemplify what you're all about. I say the Tania Rivers one because not only did she have so many amazing stories about kind of her come up and what's important to her. Obviously, she's got great energy, great personality that always comes through in the podcast. But literally, like the most mind-blowing moment I've had on any of these podcasts is when I found out that obviously Mikhail is her son, and I'm like a humongous Suns fan. And so when she told me that, I was just ready to fanboy for the rest of the podcast. Like I wasn't even ready to go with the rest of the podcast.
It was so funny. So I was on his podcast. You'll tell me a little bit about your podcast in a moment, but I had a good time on his podcast. And literally, as soon as I started talking about Mikhail, he's like, "Wait, you're Mikhail's mom?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Forget all about who T is." Like,
no, killing
like,
me.
"Oh,
I mean, it
wait
was a
a minute,
mind-blowing moment, though.
Mikhail."
You can see my face, and my
Don't
eyes
worry,
became
they're the same
saucers.
person. They're the same person, so it's okay.
I
Doesn't
believe
really
it.
matter.
Yeah, so that's how we
dope.
connected, and just kind of
So
from there, it's
cool,
kind of
yeah.
grown from there. So
It's kind of organic. It's kind of full circle. That's dope.
Full circle, Shay. You're 100% right. But what made you get into this work that you do? Like, why focus on hiring? Why help people, companies find jobs? Like, what made you do this? Like,
Yeah, listen, I wasn't 8 or 9 years old and asked me what I wanted to be when I got older. And I was like, I want to be in talent acquisition. Like, honestly, I wanted to be a sports agent. And then I think around 18, 19, when I saw how many people were raising their hands to be in that space, I was like, I might want to go a different route here. Maybe I should just make sports kind of a passion and a hobby. Really, what it started was I was in technology. I was working at one of these big Fortune 500 companies. I was 24 at the time. I remember thinking, gosh, what am I going to be able to do to make an impact at a company of this size, a brand of this size? And I realized pretty quickly that there's just because you're a big company doesn't mean you do everything well. So I started getting my hands in a lot of different places. And I ultimately ended up getting promoted into a role where I was hiring. And so I had never, like, I wasn't recruited. I didn't know anything about recruiting agencies or internal talent acquisition. And so when I got the opportunity to hire, I went and asked some people, like, what do I do? Like, I have no clue. And they're like, well, you got to reach out to some of these agencies. These are the preferred vendors we work with. Here's what happens. You end up getting a fee if they end up placing somebody. But Oz, you're going to be pretty underwhelmed. And I remember thinking at the time, like, well, you know what? I'll keep an open mind. Let's see. And so I'm like this, like at the time, 25, 26-year-old. I'm really ready. I'm trying to zoom up in my career. I know the people I hire are going to play a really big part on my ability to kind of continue to ascend. And so I meet with some of these firms and they come in and I spend a lot of time kind of talking about what I need, what's going to fit for our team, all these different things. Right. And so they go off and then they come back and ultimately I start working with them and it's like, they didn't even hear me. They didn't even listen to me. And I think the worst part about it was super commoditized and super transactional. And ultimately at the end of the day, like hiring, like, we know this, right? When you take on a new job, like Tania at Curaleaf or Shay at Overtime, right? It changes every aspect of your life, right? Commute, compensation, relationships, development, right? And I just remember
your
feeling
time, like
time. I mean,
don't forget, we spend more time.
So much part of our identity too, right? So I just remember thinking at the time, these people are treating it like used car sales at the end of the day or selling a Rolex in Times Square. And it just seemed wrong to me. And so like I was looking at it from my perspective. Hey, this is really important to get the right people if I want to get promoted. I looked at it from the company perspective, and it's like the difference between number 1 and number 10 in your industry is the type of people that you bring into your org and how you develop and retain them. And then again, I thought about it from the individual perspective, right? When you think about people who have like been laid off or in a job that they hate, like that interview process, that getting a new dream job, that's a big deal. And so like, I just felt like it should be more intuitive, that there should be better help there. And honestly, I look at it as an expertise, right? I don't look at it. I look at it as like, when you look at people who are hiring, there are people who are really good at it. There are people who are really bad at it. And there's a lot of people in between. And I think it's something that you can get better at, especially if the right tools are there. So I didn't immediately jump into the space right after that. That's kind of what kind of got me percolating and thinking about the space. And then I met somebody that we started sharing ideas of where the industry was going. We wanted to be Netflix to the opposition's Blockbuster, so to speak. And that's really how things got kicked off. And then we opened the company back in 2011, really to be disruptive in this space because we felt like it should be better for both candidates and for hiring leaders. And so that's really kind of been our mission over the last decade plus.
Very nice. Wait a minute. So when you said Blockbuster, remember Blockbuster?
I do.
You used to go into the store and get your little DVDs and all.
Yeah, but here's what
that.
happened. The new release would come out and you'd be so
it wasn't
excited.
even DVDs. They were like most, well, I remember Blockbuster when it was like VCR. Like, did you guys remember
VHS?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. But then a new movie would come out and you'd go there the day of, be so excited, and they'd all be gone. And you wouldn't be able to see the new release for like months.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got 4 tapes? Like, what the heck?
That's it. Like for a
Exactly.
whole area. Like stop.
Yep. Be kind, rewind. So
That's right. And plus you have to take out a small loan to pay all the late fees too. So yeah, it was a bad model.
right.
Yes. But that just goes to show how companies have to be always thinking about being innovative, because before you know it, you're kind of like, it will pass you by and the next thing will be bigger than you, will swallow you up. And the next thing you know, you're out of business. So I think that's a good reminder. Blockbuster has taught us all lessons about innovation.
So
right?
many.
100%.
So is that why you have the technology component of your business? Because a lot of people have the people business, but they don't have the technology to, apply the data to do a really like thorough search or a thorough like just report of what's going on and why things are happening. And how much does it cost a company, when they have a bad hire, or how much does it help when you have a really great hire?
So much.
So like, is that why you have the technology part of your company? Just wondering how they go together.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think we have to start talking about it in financial terms so we get the attention of the CEO and the CFO, because when you make a bad hire, if somebody leaves your organization, all the money you invest, all the opportunity cost, if CEOs and CFOs knew those true numbers, right, they would be making this one of the biggest priorities and dumping a lot of resources.
Give us
into
the
that
numbers.
space.
People need to know, like, what's the cost of a bad hire?
Yeah, I think that I've seen 30% of a annual hire salary. So if somebody makes $100,000 a year, $30,000 in cost if that person doesn't work out after the first year,
Crazy.
right? Can be there. Obviously, like having a role open for more than
For a
30
long
days
time.
can be really costly. And listen, we've all been hiring managers, super frustrating to spend so much time getting pulled away from kind of your day to day
Facts.
to be
Yeah.
focused on like hiring. And then you have bad candidates who don't show up, candidates who turn down offers. It can be a super frustrating experience. So I know why a lot of people look at it and they're like, let me get the heck out of here. I don't want anything to do with this. The technology aspect, Shay, that you brought up. Listen, one of the reasons I got into the industry is because I felt like there was a lot of opportunity for change. Like this was back in like 2010. And so a lot of industries had already been disrupted by technology and kind of like what they were doing for customers. I felt like this was an industry that really had not had that moment, especially from a technology perspective. So the technology was always something that we were thinking about. And ultimately what we wanted to do was, I feel like most of the technology that exists in the HR world is, no offense, it's built for HR at the end of the day. And those are the buyers. But ultimately, there's no tools for hiring managers to be better at hiring, right? And listen, they're the ones on the line when they make a bad or good hire. So providing more structure, more collaboration. And here's kind of the exciting part. We're building it in a time right now where AI is like democratized and so prevalent. And so what if we can reveal, and Tania, I know you're going to really appreciate this. What if we can reveal your conscious and unconscious biases to you as a hiring manager, right? What if we can look at confirmation
Mind
bias or
blown.
recency
Mind blown.
bias, right?
Yes.
They're not ready for that.
Well, no,
know.
because it happens all the time. And not only are they not ready for it, Shay, it's hard to hear because sometimes they don't believe that it's happening. And once you really can show them that, sure, it exists in your organization, it's helping, it's hurting you even bring in more diverse candidates, like it becomes a real problem, especially as organizations are trying to focus on DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. It is so hard because they can't see past their own ways. And they get so caught up in doing what they've been doing for years that they don't even realize that it's a problem until someone like Oz and his company introduces you to the data. It's hard for you to see it.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
unintentional. Go ahead, Shay. Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I really just was diving into like, since we're a show that helps people, like how can you kind of give kind of context on what people are looking for, and is there a blueprint or like a formula to kind of make yourself appealing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away all the secret sauce, but I'll tell you some things that we're doing, right? I think it's about, I think most of the time this is unintentional. I don't think most people go into it trying to be biased, right? For those that do, I can't help those people, right? But for the people that they can see what they're doing and be better informed, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you keep using our tool to make hires, right? And you've had 3 hires and the system comes back to you and it's like, hey, Bob, you've hired 3 middle-aged Caucasian men. Maybe we should add a diverse funnel for your next position so we can put more diversity in your team, right? I really am passionate about equality of opportunity so that the right person gets the job that they deserve. So there's different things that you can do around resume blindness, taking away some of these confirmation biases that happen when we see a resume. Like for example, like if somebody took a 2-year sabbatical, or maybe they took time off to raise kids, right? A lot of people who are looking at that are going to make prejudgments in that situation and may or may not interview, right? I think the resume
The
can be one of the
problem.
biggest blockers for meritocratic hiring that exists.
Huge.
Is that
Yeah.
important to your ability to do that job? Maybe, but probably not. And so,
Ooh.
how can we give that information in a way that's just relevant to your ability to do that job, fit in with the team, fit in with the manager, fit in with the culture, and then make a hire that way? I think if we can do that, hiring will be more meritocratic, more fair, more equal, and that's such an important thing that I think that would be just worth its weight in gold if we were able to kind of really build something that could help influence that in a positive way.
Yeah, I
That's
love that.
amazing.
And I guess my question to you, especially because you've seen so much and your role is to help the employers bring in the right talent, right? But on a flip side of that, because our tippers, we always try to give them some good nuggets for them to get jobs. You got the secret sauce too for some people actually looking for jobs. So, what can candidates do to make themselves more attractive to kind of land their dream job? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because you're
that's
love
on
what
it.
I
the
was wondering
opposite end
also.
of it, but how can you help people find jobs and not only find them, but land them? Because we put so much work into some, like those of us who really know to get jobs, you got to do their background, you got to actually take your time to research the company and do a plethora of things that Shay and I had talked about before. So you guys better make sure that you're checking out that content library wherever you get tipping the scales, wherever you get your podcast, because we talked about finding jobs before and gave some good nuggets. But since we have an expert today on our pod, we want to ask you, what can people do?
Yeah, and listen, we said we want to be Netflix and we want to be this company that really changes the face of things. So you better believe that from a services and technology perspective, we are going to hopefully address for candidates who that third party that can look out for them professionally, right? Some
Love
tips that come to
it.
mind off the top of my head that I think can really matter is your profiles on social and LinkedIn in
Ooh.
particular, right? They're out there. You need to make sure that those are marketed and built in a way that is
Speak to them.
exemplifies. Yep.
Who you are and your personal brand. Okay.
Yes.
Like, can we just
Yes.
take 2 seconds together collectively, all three of us, to talk about that? Because it's okay to do you on your social pages and all of that. But don't forget when you're looking for jobs, sometimes they check out who you are at social. They want to know, especially for those high paying positions, they want to know who you are because they get all of you when you come to work. And they will check out your social pages. And is it truly representing your personal brand? You guys need to ask yourself that.
I think
I'm
that's a
Yeah.
telling you.
really important thing. And I think at the end of the
Mhm.
day, we can talk about how it's unfair, but it's a reality. And so what I think people need to do is we need to adjust and understand that people are going to do that and make those judgments fair or not. My take is like for the Instagrams of the world and the Facebooks of the world, like you can lock your account so that your friends can see it and you can add people in. And then on LinkedIn, like I think it's a great tool to be able to personally brand who you see yourself as a professional
Mhm.
outside of even your company, right? What are you passionate about in the space that you're in? Is it supply chain? Is it technology? Is it human resources? Whatever it may be, you should be talking about that and building it. So I think it's really important that you curate your profile in a way, right? That is one that you want, knowing people are going to look at that. And quite frankly, people look at a LinkedIn more often than they look at a resume right now. So I think that's really important. I think doing your
Mhm.
research is really important, right? Looking at
Mm.
quarterly financials, looking at who works at the company,
Mm.
looking about that company being in the news. At the very least, you're going to be informed when you come and they ask you that very important thing at the end. What kind of questions do you have for us? I mean, if you're just like, I got it all answered,
Not
that's an opportunity for you. And you have to take that opportunity. And if you show that you're like, you know what, I read about X happened in quarter 1. I'm really interested. How do you see that fulfilling the objectives for the rest of the year for the company? Like you're going to stand out in that moment. So I think that research is really, really important. And I think the last thing is you've got to find a way to stand out and peacock in a good way, right? So if you think that you're going to apply for a role and it's going to go and you're going to get like called on that, I mean, you're going up against thousands of other people and people are using quick heuristics to make decisions. I think it's really important that if you find a role that you like or a company that you like, reach out to somebody directly there and say, listen, I got to tell you what, this role's there and this is my dream company for X reason. I would love the opportunity to talk about why I think I'm a great fit for your company. So those are some tips I think that could potentially help anybody seeking for work.
Great. Thank you for that. And tippers, make sure you are listening and writing those down or listening again and again and going back and hit and repeat because those are some good nuggets and we got an expert on. So
LinkedIn
eyes knows.
research standout. Boom, got you covered.
Love it.
Personal brand. Be always cognizant of how you're representing yourselves on your social pages.
100%.
Check, check. So listen, it's springtime. First of all, I don't know about you. Spring is one of my favorite times of the year because I get to do some new things. And I am now taking on a new project of redoing my bedroom colors because I think they're just dull. I want to brighten it up. Nothing crazy, but just makes me think like I want to put something new in my life because it's spring and I love the colors of spring. And now it's a time for you too with Pear that you could switch up your style with an affordable base frame and magnetic frames starting just at $25. How crazy is that, Shay?
25 for the frames, 25 for the toppers, 60 for the frames, including the prescription, which I love.
Crazy. All in $60. I mean, you
Yep.
can't beat that. And I also think too that you could just get one base frame and then you can get how many toppers as you want. But every time you get a new topper, it's like you have a new pair of glasses, which is crazy. So
We need to
that's
send
my favorite
Oz.
part.
We need to send Oz a pair with the Suns frames. So I think that would be
Please.
dope.
Yes, there are Suns frames out there, even though like no shade.
He can have
It's
mine.
okay. You can totally. Oh, actually, he can have mine.
He can have-
Because I have the sun topper. So all you have to do is get your base frames from Pear. All you have to do is go to paireyewear.com. That's PAIR eyewear.com. And if you do /tipping, you can get 15% off your first purchase. Easy is 1, 2, 3.
Boom, we just made a sale.
Lifetime
And
customer.
Very nice. I need some. I need to represent now. Of course,
I'm
the
not
Nets.
gonna lie to you. I saw you on TV the other day. You're wearing the Nets gear. I mean, it hurt my soul a little bit.
Oh,
You know,
I know.
us Suns fans love Mikhail so much. We love to see him thriving. He's doing amazing, but yeah, it
Me
hurts seeing him do
too.
it in another jersey. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It hurt us too at first. we actually, Oz, were recording with him the day before it happened, or I want to say the day before, the night of
The night of the day
night
of.
the day
Yeah, 'cause-
of the night.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really really crazy. So
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yes.
the way he handled it, he even said, like, he made the comment, like, yeah, it's Kevin Durant. I might have done that too. Like, I mean, the most likable player in the NBA. There's no question about that. He
Nope.
came into our community and, like, I'll tell you what, that wasn't easy. As much as we got one of the 10, 15 best players in the NBA history, Mikhail and losing Cam, that was tough. That was real tough.
Yeah.
I want to ask
Yeah.
you guys something though. I heard on one of your previous podcasts, top 5 NBA players of all time. I heard some controversial picks in there. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wait, Shay and I were just talking about that, and I tried to so what's today is Monday. I can't believe today's Monday, and we released an episode today with another top
which I got
5.
text about. Okay.
Oh
Which is
boy.
hilarious. Yeah.
This time, so if you thought that was controversial, like you need to listen to today's episode about the top 5 movies of all time.
Tania,
Okay,
I already
well-
did. Because
Oh,
I know you
excuse
like
me.
Godfather and
Oh,
Shay
look
likes
at
The
you.
Wiz. My name is Oz.
It's the Wiz and he lives in us.
Love it.
All right,
Way
well,
more
since you're
singing on this
here-
podcast than I would have expected, but I love it.
Yeah,
Oh, we always
actually,
sing, even though we
Shay
can't.
legit can sing. Like, let
No.
me just because I play around and I can't sing at all. Can't even hold a note. It's fine. Like, I have other talents. Okay, I can't hold a note, but Shay legit can sing for real and
Love it.
hold a note. But
I'm
since
not
we
gonna
have
say
you
what I'm
on,
thinking.
but my talents are something else.
Yeah, you're talented. Anyway,
Yeah, I can't stand you. I know where your brain goes.
I know.
You are very. We're gonna be on our best
Okay,
behavior
hold
because
on.
we have
Pause.
company. Okay.
Pause. Since Oz is calling us out, and I know he used to be a point guard, who's your top 5? Point guard.
All
Okay.
time? Oh, top 5 point
Point
guards?
guard in the people
Ooh.
and talent tech industry, but also top 5 all time. Go.
Ooh, top 5 point guards of all time.
Wow, you're
I
killing
like
me.
that.
Okay. Because
just wanna see your
that's
skills.
okay. So
I
I'm gonna
like
go
that,
Magic
Shay.
number 1.
Good question.
Okay.
Magic
Okay.
Johnson, right? I think he changed the game. Like, obviously, the NBA was in a different place when he came in. NBA is what it is now because of him and Larry and Michael and the things they did in the 80s. Played for the
Okay.
Showtime Lakers. So I'm going to give him number 1.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2. Wow, this is such a homer pick. I'm going CP3. I'm going the point guard.
Oh, of course you will, you Suns fan, you.
He's going to have that ring soon, I hope. But, like, if you look at steals, assists, the way he runs the game, I think he's one of those players that if he's not on your team, you hate him. But if he's on your team, you love him because he makes all those little winning plays. So I'm going to give CP3 number 2. I'm going to go Jason Kidd number 3.
Mm,
Okay,
Jason
because I like his
Kidd.
size. That was who my game was modeled after. I couldn't shoot, but I was a little bit bigger. I like to get in the paint. So that was and I love the pass. That's who my game was modeled after. And then I'll go
I
Stockton.
can appreciate point guards passing more. I'm good with that.
Listen, my whole life is about setting other people up, right? I was never one that wanted to do the scoring. I was somebody that wanted to set the assist.
Get your
So
assist.
I'll go Stockton 4, and I got to go again.
Stockton.
Homer pick. I got to go Steve Nash, number 5.
Ooh, okay.
Wow. No Jordan, no Mike, and no
You said
Kobe.
point guard.
No,
You
that
said
was
point guard.
guards.
Oh, did I
He's
say
giving
point
his
guard?
top-
All right.
I said point guards of all time. No, but
Okay.
You did say that. I did hear that.
No,
Okay.
but how much does it change though? I mean, Shay asked the question too. So how much does that top 5 change if you forget about the actual position on the court? So forget about the number 1. You want to just go to top 5 of all time. Does that
This one I
change your
got
list?
ready to go because I've been this is like the biggest debate between all me and my friends for like 30 years. And now that I work, so we have so many early in career people here in my company. They are all LeBron stans or Kobe stans, and so as a 41-year-old, I got to stand up for what I know about basketball. So I'm starting number 1. And listen, here's the key about the GOAT conversation that gets so controversial, right? If you want to talk about best career ever, if you want to talk about best all-around player, I'll give that to LeBron. There's no question about that. He's been playing longer. He invests $1 million in his body a year. He's got the statistics, the points. His career is incredible. But if you put a gun to my head and say you got to win one game, one series, or one season, who you taking?
Okay.
Mike.
That's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. There ain't no question about
Oh,
that.
look at that. He put the Jeffrey in there. Yes, sir.
Not only that, I got to give him credit for changing the game about athletes, right? There was a time where Michael Jordan was the most famous person on the planet. That doesn't happen. You don't transcend sports like that unless you're really doing something unique. Obviously, the movie Air came out telling that story. So MJ's number 1. I'm going to go LeBron number 2 out of respect. Okay. I'm going to go Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number 3.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm going to put in Magic and Larry as 4 and 5. And it's only because Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, I didn't get to see them play. I don't know what the competition
That's how Shay
was.
felt. Shay felt the same way. Yeah.
Love it.
All right, since we're on this, I love this. I love asking our guests like their top 5. And since you're here, we need to, I do want to save a few minutes. I want you to talk about your podcast, plug your podcast before you go. But before we do that, top 5 movies of all time. I'm sure you have that in your head too. Go.
I'm not going to lie. I thought about it as I listened. And because
I know
I was
you
like,
did.
well,
I know
you
you
guys are making me
did.
think. So I'm going to name 5 in no particular order of movies that I really liked that really changed the way I thought. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Fight Club was a movie that when I saw it, it kind of blew my mind just because I hadn't read the book and I didn't know what was coming. So I really enjoyed that. Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh,
Shawshank.
Good one. I forgot all about Shawshank Redemption.
So you said Godfather. I'm a bigger Goodfellas guy just because I think that
Goodfellas
movie
was good too.
Yeah, incredible. It's got a lot of it's got a lot of great actors, great story. Love
so
that.
Good with Goodfellas. Yeah.
I'm out on Godfather and Goodfellas, but I hear you guys.
I hear you. Mafia movies are very, very popular, but they're not for everybody. So I totally get that.
They're for me.
Yeah, I'll round out the top 5. I'm gonna go another mafia movie. I really love the movie Casino. I think that's one of the most underrated.
Casino was good too.
Mob movies. Yep.
Yes.
Sharon Stone in that, amazing. So really good movie. And then the last one I'm gonna say, this is a little bit of a shocker, and I haven't really thought it all the way through, but Inception. I really love the movie Inception with Leo.
Good.
I like movies that change the way I think, and so after I watched that, I remember walking out of the movie theater being like, "Damn, that hit me that punched me in the mouth." So I think that's my top 5.
All right. I miss Sharon Stone. What was that nice, seductive movie that she was in when she did the
Basic
little cross her
Instinct.
legs things?
Wow.
Remember Basic
Who is
Instinct?
Oz? Literally, he just didn't have to think. He just said basic.
12-year-old Oz. That's
Basic
emblazoned in his brain when that came out, man. I was like,
come on. I think every guy liked that movie. I loved it.
My mom's not listening to this podcast, is she? Oh, man.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you listen to us.
Shout out to Oz's mama. Forgive him, mommy. We all have our little dirty secrets.
But I love it because that's why I love this podcast too, because although we help people, we make them laugh, make them think,
cry,
make them feel good, cry, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think like even when you have guests on here, like people want to listen to you, people want to follow you because not what you do, even though that's a little bit, but it's like, I want to know that person more intimately. I want to get to know like, damn, Oz is a point guard. That's his top 5. That's my top 5. Like they kind of can connect with you in that way versus like what you actually do. And so I think that's
I'll add one thing to that. When we hire people here, one of the things we ask is like the car trip test. So it's like, okay, they've got all the skills, they got the right behavioral fit. Is this somebody I want to sit in the car with for 3 or 4 hours? And as we drive to, who knows, Tampa or where I'm in South Florida. So, Atlanta, whatever it may be. And so, like, I hope that's what people take away. I was like, you know what? I'd like to get a beer with that guy, or I'd like to sit shotgun, and I'll give him the aux cord, and we'll see what happens.
Yes,
Yeah,
you could
I'm getting that
totally ride
feeling.
with Shay and I and our
So in.
Winnebago. That's my little thing that I want to do. I keep saying it. I want to get a Winnebago. Who wants to come? Raise your hand. I'm gonna get a Winnebago and we'll go somewhere. Like, you know what? Maybe I'll go check out Tidal League. We could get a Winnebago, go from like Philly to Canada. That's a cute little Winnebago trip, right?
Wow, that'd
So
be
cool. We can
great.
play cards. You know how to play spades?
Of
I know
course.
how to play spades. Hell
Oh
yeah,
my
I know how to
gosh,
play
Shay.
spades.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yes, you need to win another partner for you to play spades, and then we'll have some fun. We have some drinks. We'll have some cannabis.
So we're gonna start in
We're gonna have
Philly.
a fun.
I have some favorite spots up in Philly. I got to get a cheesesteak, especially if the cannabis is flowing. And then we're gonna head up to Canada. What are we doing in Canada?
We're going to see Tidal League.
That's our
They're
podcast
there.
company who we love dearly.
Yeah.
And so
Love
And
yeah.
it.
we could see the Niagara Falls. I've never seen the Niagara Falls. Have
Well,
you?
we can meet Hung in the 6 because that's his home. So even though his
Yeah.
house is in Nova Scotia. So
Oh yeah, I got some beef with Hong. I'll tell you about that later. Yeah, Hong. I'll see you face to face. You and I got some talking to do, buddy. Anywho, before we go, I know we're up time, but tell us a little bit about your podcast. I enjoyed myself when I was on there. Thank you for having me. But tell our tippers a little bit about your podcast. We like
Yeah.
to share.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Oz Rashid, OzRashid. We have a podcast that we started about a year ago. I think we're about 50 episodes in. Which, by the way, Tania, I don't know if you know this, that puts you in the top 10% of podcasts. If you get past 7, that puts you in the top 10% of podcasts.
Oh
'cause
wow!
most
So we got
people
like
quit
what
after that.
130 now?
Yeah,
Shay?
y'all are top 1% for sure. So
Let's go.
I'm working my way up.
Go, Shay. It's her birthday.
It's called
AA.
Higher Learning,
AA.
HIRE, right? And so what we're talking about there is Tim Ferriss does a podcast where he interviews people who are like top 1% of what they do, like entrepreneurs, musicians, athletes, whatever it may be. And he's trying to drive a thread of like, what do geniuses all do that like makes them
Common.
special, right? Across
Mhm.
all these different spectrums. And so we're taking kind of a page out of that and we're asking people who do a lot of hiring, what makes you great at hiring, right? What's your philosophy? What's your favorite question? What's a memorable experience you had? So we talk to C-level, VP level founders, entrepreneurs, people who are really doing stuff from a professional perspective and
Yeah.
kind of get their concepts on people and hiring people. And then the other side of it is we want to really exemplify our guests. So part of it is like Tania's got an amazing story that should be on tons of platforms. Everybody should be hearing it. And so we want to give the opportunity to learn about her, what
Yeah.
matters. That's how we found out about whole NBA connection, everything. Because we just started talking about, I said, what's your favorite teams? You're from Philly. And we started talking about the Eagles and then the Sixers. And that's how we got into things. So I think a lot of times when you have corporate America executives, we don't always get a ton of insight into them unless they're like
Mhm.
Google, Facebook, like these on, the ones that
Tell
we hear
us
about all the
about
time.
it.
So I want to tell
Right.
those stories. And so that's a big part of the podcast too.
Great. Well, listen, you have been a pleasure. We appreciate you. You have to come back. I feel like there's more that we need to
I
chat
felt like
about.
that too.
There's so much more packed in there that I think that Shay and I didn't even get to really tap into. So thank you so much, Oz Rashid, for coming on our pod. Check out his pod, Higher Learning. Check out Oz Rashid. He's on LinkedIn. He's everywhere. And don't forget to continue to follow and Tipping the Scales wherever you get your podcasts. Deal? All right. Well, thanks, Tippers. We appreciate you and continue to just be a part of this amazing journey with Shay and us. We love it. Right, Shay?
Love it to death.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.